I would start with the fact that both of them on their side are sticking to the figures they have. For the Brigadier General, he mentioned that they confirmed 75 bodies, but when we got to the community, the resident had a different figure. In fact, they showed us the place where over 70 people alone were slaughtered, and we could still see dry blood cloth all over the floor, and they explained to us how they were laid on the floor and killed, some burnt, some shot, and some even kidnapped. According to them, the figures are for the Muslim among them, they buried over 79 people. They mentioned that was the burial on the first day. On the second day, over 40 people. And for the Christian community amongst them, they've buried over 23. And they mentioned that there were also some Togolese, about 6 of them, which raises this figure to almost 200 people, according to the locals there. And they had buried them. So the Muslims, they have buried them. And for the Christians, they've been lifted and taken to for proper ritual proceedings. However, the Brigadier General mentioned that 75 are the numbers they can confirm. Also, when we moved into Kayama local government later today, we met the village head who lost not only his second wife, lost 2 of his children. His apartment was burnt to ashes. One of his vehicles was stolen. Another of his vehicle also set ablaze. He mentioned that we have over 200 people that have lost their lives. So that in some way tallies with what the locals are saying, but of course against what the authorities are saying.
Hello, everyone. You just saw that video. I mean, it's unbelievable. They are talking about 200 people killed, and Nigeria is just going on as if nothing is happening. Kwara has turned into a place where people are being killed, massacred every day. And this particular killing in the one that just happened in Kwara is so unbelievable. The audacity with which these terrorists are acting, there is no how that anybody is going to be saying that the Nigerian government is not complicit in it, whether directly or indirectly. You've given people the opportunity for them to also control violence. A state government, the government is supposed to be the only one with the monopoly of violence. But now Nigerian government has ceded that monopoly to other people to own it and use it to kill it in such arrogant manner. This particular, they sent a letter asking to preach. Then they massacred us Nigerians on the jihadist attack that happened in Kwara. And this is BBC, carried it. And from some of the summary that they came to them, they wanted to preach to them. They want them to accept their version of Islam that is so extreme. Extremism is one of the most hated things about in Islam. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned about it against extremism and all of it. Even in action, we want you to be taking extreme position. Talk less of you going on in religion, in the preaching and saying the way they preach, the kind of things that they have, out there. This is what BBC report is. So before I even go on, they asked for this, that they were coming to do preaching and whatever. The head of the community did not agree to it, and they came, killed his wife, his 2 sons that are medical students. They burnt his house and packed abducted some of his wives and families and went along with them. It's just unbelievable. More than 100 armed jihadis dressed in army fatigues rode into neighboring Muslim villages of Woro and Nuku in Nigeria's western state of Kwara on motorbikes driven by revenge. They came en masse in the name of religion, and they decided to kill our people. Abdullah Umar Usman, a former teacher and resident of Woro, told the BBC, explaining how the attack, in which at least 75 people are so far known to have been killed, unfolded, and the numbers have even increased to they're going up to almost 200. The mayhem started an hour before sunset on Tuesday as residents of the farming communities were heading home from their fields where they grow yams, maize, and millet. The militants headed straight to the home of the traditional leader Umar Biu Salihu because they had written to him asking if they could come and preach what is considered an extremist version of Islam, which the community did not welcome. Salihu was not at home. in Woro at the time. So they set his compound alight and killed two of his children. Two of the community's head children, who were medical students, were killed in front of the house before they set it ablaze. The Hajis then went on, so okay, so they didn't kill the wife, it's the children, two of them they killed. The jihadis then went on a killing spree that lasted all night. So why this was lasting all night? Where was government? Where was the presence of government? Where is security? You'll be doing this thing, you'll be doing protests in Abuja. They'll be telling you that they have intel, that the protest will be hijacked. They never have intel when insurgency is happening. When terrorists are killing people, these people never have intel. It's only when it comes to an armed protester that they always have their intel. They massacred everyone. It is just devastating, Mohammed Dauda, a local official, told the BBC. Amnesty International and many of the dead had been found with their hands and feet tied. Some had their throats slit and others had been shot dead. When the jihadis left in the morning, sadly, they finished all night from sunset. Oh, they were able to act all night. Even they were in this era that there are phone calls, people would have cried out to be and say, hey, we are being killed here. No police, no security agent came in to do anything. When the jihadis left in the morning, they took with them 38 women and children, including the rest of the traditional ruler's family. They killed two of my children and abducted my wife and 3 children, Salihu told me. The militants wanted residents to renounce the Nigerian government and its constitution and instead follow their teachings, effectively attempting to impose a parallel system of rule and government in the area. This was against what the Quran teaches, Salihu said, referring to Islam's holy book. The Nigerian government has blamed Boko Haram for the attack. The jihadist group has not issued any statement about it. Boko Haram, which gained global attention in 2014 after abducting more than 200 school children from Chibok, is still operating in the northeast of the country but has since splintered. One of its factions, Mahmouda, is now active in rural parts of Kwara and the neighboring state of Niger. According to Amnesty, the jihadists had been leafleting the two villages for the past 5 months. They're sending them handbills and leaflets. These communities have been receiving these pamphlets, soliciting them to join the extremist views and preaching by these militants. Isa Sanusi, head of Amnesty International in Nigeria, told the BBC's Newsday program. After they see a bit of resistance from the people, they then started sending them warnings. This correlates with Usman's account that locals had received warnings day before the violence began. Local MT Seidu Baba Ahmed told the BBC the latest communication had been sent to Salih, who had communicated to security forces about the letter. The military went to the area briefly to investigate, but after they left, the jihadists launched the assault, he said. Amnesty says this shows a stunning security failure. We are wondering why this security lapse was allowed to happen, why the authorities could not take action. He then described how over many hours no one went to the villagers' aid and the militants were able to take their time. In fact, they even went to the mosque and prayed there. They forced a few people to go and listen to their preaching. That means they had enough time, adequate time to do whatever they liked. The security forces did not arrive the next day to find large parts of Woro and the security forces did arrive the next day after everything had been done to find large parts of Woro and Nuku, which fall under administrative area of Kaima, in ruins. Shops and homes had been burnt, abandoned, motorcycles lined the streets, and smoke still hung in the air. The once busy market stores stood empty as families gathered to comfort one another. Then began the grim task of burying the bodies, first recovering them from the bushes. Dauda, the local official, said he accompanied soldiers and helped bury dozens of victims. I was among those who buried 30 corpses, he said. We have never experienced this before in Kaima local government area. Residents said the men assigned to dig graves for mass burials worked throughout the day until they become exhausted and were unable to continue. It has left mourners in Woro and Nuku physically and emotionally broken. Even now, the dusty red sand roads around the town remain deserted. Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, who visited the area on Wednesday night, and Bola Tinubu had approved the immediate deployment of army This is just nonsense, honestly. People are just being killed. These people are just doing whatever rubbish and nonsense it is. Kwara used to be one of those peaceful states in Nigeria where literally no happen. Everything since Tinubu came, everything has gone haywire. It's been killing, killing, killing with absolutely nothing other than lip service. That's when he even decides to do something. It's only lip service he pays to this whole thing. This is crazy.